Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spry English Deep Dive. Today, Lucy and Mark are diving into the English treasures hidden inside our At the Bank episode. They will explain useful vocabulary, grammar patterns, pronunciation tips, useful expressions, and even some interesting culture notes. So, put on your diving gear and let's dive in.
If I told you the best tool for teaching an adult how to navigate complex bank bureaucracy was a golden retriever trying to save up for a pile of bones, you'd probably think I was joking.
Yeah, I would totally think you were making that up.
Right, or like, at the very least, you might think it sounds like a children's cartoon or something. But cognitively speaking, utilizing that level of absurdity to teach an intimidating real-world task is just, it's a masterstroke.
Oh, absolutely. It's entirely by design because, the language of adulthood, especially when we look at finance or like government services, it's inherently hostile.
Yeah, totally. It's so formal.
Exactly. It's formal, high stakes, and usually completely devoid of joy. So when someone is trying to learn how to exist in that space while simultaneously grappling with the mechanics of a brand new language, the brain faces this incredible bottleneck.
The cognitive load just becomes entirely unmanageable, right?
Spot on. It's just too much all at once.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are looking at a transcript from an English language learning program called Spry English. Specifically, we're looking at an A1 to A2 level lesson, and it's titled Navigating the Bank with Emmy and Kevin.
Which is such a great example to use for this.
It really is. And just for some context, at this level, learners have a foundational grasp of the language, but are, very much still in the early stages of fluency. So our mission today is to pull back the curtain on this specific lesson to see how complex real-world adult chores are broken down and demystified.
It serves as a perfect case study, really, in the architecture of learning, because a lesser curriculum, well, they would just hand the learner a dry vocabulary list.
Oh yeah, like account, deposit, teller, that kind of thing.
Exactly, just a list of words, maybe alongside a really rigid, boring sample dialogue. But this source material completely discards that approach.
Thank goodness.
Right. Instead, it relies on this highly energetic narrative featuring a whole cast of characters, a literal physical journey to a bank building, and a really targeted use of humor.
Yeah, and we get to see how constructing this low-stakes world completely conquers the universal anxiety of bureaucratic chores. Because the lesson doesn't even begin anywhere near a bank.
No, not at all.
We actually start in the living room. We meet Emmy, we meet Kevin, and we are immediately introduced to two pets. There's a dog named Sunny and a kitten named Lily.
Which is just such a funny starting point for a lesson on banking.
It's hilarious. The source actually explicitly takes time to describe Lily as a fully white, small, cute kitten. And we get this really humorous interaction where Emmy is earnestly explaining to the cat that felines aren't allowed in financial institutions.
Like a cat is going to understand her.
Right. And she promises to bring back a treat. And then Kevin chimes in with his dog, Sunny, and he announces that he, Emmy, and the dog are all going to open bank accounts today.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I was thinking about this, and this opening functions exactly like a sitcom pilot.
Oh, I totally see that.
Right. By using pets and absurd motivations, like, a dog wanting a bank account, it just instantly lowers the learner's anxiety about this super intimidating topic of banking.
That is a perfect analogy, because the dog letting out a loud bark to confirm he needs an account for his bone fund, that is doing a tremendous amount of heavy lifting for the learner's psychology.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, linguists often refer to a concept known as the affective filter. It's essentially this invisible emotional barrier. When a student is anxious or stressed or intimidated by the subject matter, that filter goes up and neurological processing is just severely impaired.
Wow. So they literally can't learn as well.
Exactly. The brain is too busy managing the stress response to encode new vocabulary. So by establishing this quirky sitcom-like scenario right out of the gate, the lesson is acting as an affective filter bypass.
That makes so much sense. You're listening to an adult try to reason with a kitten, and you're just, smiling at the idea of a golden retriever needing a checking account.
Yeah, it takes a topic that normally induces dread like navigating a bank and immediately frames it as something entirely safe. You are completely relaxed before a single piece of complex terminology is ever introduced.
It's almost like a Trojan horse strategy, right?
That's exactly what it is. The learner thinks they're just engaging with a lighthearted narrative, but their neurological state is being actively optimized for retention. The humor signals to the amygdala that there's no threat here.
Which keeps the prefrontal cortex wide open for executive functioning and language processing. That is so clever.
It really is. But, once that mental safety is established, the narrative obviously has to transition into the actual bureaucracy. But what stood out to me is how much time the source material spends, not talking to a bank teller.
Oh, yeah, the journey there.
Exactly. The characters leave the house, and we get this detailed account of their 5-minute walk. Sonny the dog gets excited because he thinks they're going to a pet store, and Emmy has to calm him down.
Poor Sonny.
Right. And then they arrive at the building, and before they even get near the paperwork, they have to interact with the security guard at the door.
Which, honestly, that transitional space is critical. Language doesn't happen in a vacuum.
No, it just...
And functional fluency requires far more than just, dictionary definitions. It requires spatial and behavioral awareness. The security guard represents a classic gatekeeper figure.
Yeah, that interaction they have with him really maps out the physical and social expectations of the whole environment.
It does. The guard gives them a warm greeting, asks how he can help, and when Kevin explains their goal, the guard says, "Certainly, please take a number and wait."
And Emmy makes that self-deprecating joke, right?
Yeah, she jokes about the dog having better social skills than she does, which is great. But I have to ask, is this just fluff?
What do you mean?
Well, I had this pushback question when I first read it. Is spending time on the walk and the security guard a waste of time in a banking lesson? Because if I'm an adult learner studying this because I desperately need to open an account tomorrow, spending precious lesson time listening to characters walk down the street feels like a detour.
You feel like it should just cut straight to the transaction counter.
Exactly. My instinct was get to the point, get to the money.
I totally get that. But cutting straight to the counter actually removes the behavioral rehearsal, which is arguably as important as the vocabulary itself.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, consider the cultural norm of taking a number. To someone raised in a system where queuing works differently, walking into a chaotic bank lobby and not knowing how to initiate service is terrifying.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Right. The vocabulary of banking is completely useless if you don't know the physical choreography required to reach the person you actually need to speak with.
So it's highly functional then. It's teaching the listener that banking isn't just about money.
Exactly. It's about navigating small talk, greetings, and cultural norms. It's providing a hidden cultural script.
That's fascinating. The lesson is walking the learner through the literal steps of the physical journey.
Yes, so by the time the learner actually walks through the real doors of the bank, they have already mentally rehearsed the entry protocol. They know to expect a greeter, they know they might need to pull a ticket, and they know there will be a waiting period.
Which reduces the environment from an unpredictable threat to a familiar routine. It really highlights a vital principle of adult education context, provides the scaffolding for confidence.
Spot on. If you know how to exist in the space, the words you need to say come much more easily. Which I guess brings us to the apex of the bureaucratic mountain.
The paperwork.
The dreaded paperwork. The characters finally step up to the bank teller, state that they would like to open an account, and they're handed the forms.
And anyone who has ever filled out government or financial paperwork knows it is rarely written in, conversational English.
No, it's dense. It's so dense. But here's where it gets really interesting. Okay, I'm ready.
The source material doesn't just say they filled out the paperwork. It explicitly breaks the form down, field by field, right in the spoken dialogue.
Oh, yeah. It deliberately slows the pacing to a crawl at the exact moment the cognitive demand is highest.
Because this is where a learner is most likely to become overwhelmed, right?
Exactly. So the narrative architecture reinforces the structure.
I actually look at this section like one of those tech unboxing videos online.
Oh, I love those.
Right. You know the ones where someone takes an incredibly complicated, intimidating piece of new technology and slowly, calmly takes it out of the box. They hold up each individual cable and explain exactly what it does.
Yes, that's exactly what this is doing. The lesson treats the bank form like a linguistic unboxing video.
Instead of overwhelming the learner, it takes scary adult paperwork and reduces it to simple, digestible concepts. Emmy looks at the form and asks the teller, "What does address mean?"
And the teller doesn't whip out some complex Merriam-Webster definition. They simply say, it's where you live.
It's so simple. And then Kevin asks about the phone number, and the teller clarifies, "That's your telephone number."
Right. And finally, Emmy asks about the signature. And the teller just explains, please write your name here.
It's so elegant. The simplicity of how the teller uses even more basic English to define the new vocabulary is just brilliant.
It creates this invisible scaffolding. It uses highly basic, foundational English words the A1 learner already knows, like live and name, to define the slightly more advanced, task-specific vocabulary.
It creates a bridge. If the lesson simply provided a direct translation, the learner would still be staring at an intimidating document.
Exactly. By having the characters ask the very questions the learner is likely thinking, it completely normalizes the confusion.
It essentially translates English into easier English. And it does it without making the learner feel foolish. Plus, we get a great callback to the opening joke right after this.
Oh, the paw print.
Yes. After the teller explains that a signature is a written name, Kevin points out that Sonny the dog can't write, and Emmy suggests he could just use his paw print. I love that. The paw print joke serves as a cognitive pressure release valve. Right after pushing the learner to absorb new formal terminology, the script immediately diffuses the tension with absurdity.
It ensures the effective filter we discussed earlier doesn't slowly creep back up during the hardest part of the lesson.
Exactly. And then, with the paperwork demystified, the narrative pivots to the actual purpose of the visit. The money.
Yes, the money. And this is where the underlying educational strategy leans heavily into repetitive reinforcement.
Which is so important.
The teller asks if they would like to deposit money, introducing that crucial verb phrase. But rather than just having one character execute the transaction and moving on, the script creates a loop.
Right, Kevin announces he wants to save money generally.
And Emmy states she is saving money for a vacation.
And then Sonny barks, which Kevin translates to mean the dog is saving money for Bones.
Notice how seamlessly that was done.
It's incredible. Repetition is the engine of language acquisition, but it is notoriously difficult to implement without becoming, monotonous.
Right, rote memorization drills are deeply unengaging.
Nobody wants to do those. But by having all three characters state their financial goals using the exact same grammatical structure, the lesson is conducting an active substitution drill completely disguised as natural dialogue.
It's building a template in the learner's mind. The lesson provides the framework, I am saving money for, and then immediately demonstrates how to plug different variables into that framework.
A general goal, a specific vacation, and a ridiculous pile of bones.
It's like an auditory Mad Libs. As a listener, you instinctively start filling in that blank with your own actual goal. You find yourself thinking, I'm saving money for rent, or I'm saving money for groceries.
It transitions the vocabulary from a passive concept observed in a story to an active tool the learner can apply to their own life. And the emotional cue that immediately follows this is just as calculated.
Oh, I noticed that. After they receive their shiny new bank cards, Kevin explicitly says out loud that the whole process was easy.
Yes, he remarks on the fact that nobody even had to use a pause signature.
It feels like a very intentional victory lap, right?
It's an emotional contagion strategy. Humans are highly susceptible to the modeled emotions of those around them, even fictional characters in an audio lesson.
That is so interesting.
By having the characters openly model relief, pride, and the specific realization that the task was easier than expected, the lesson cues the listener to adopt that exact same mindset.
The characters are essentially looking at the listener and saying, we survived this, and so will you.
Exactly. It leaves the listener feeling incredibly capable.
But, the deep dive into this methodology doesn't stop when the characters leave the bank. The story concludes, but the Spry English lesson immediately pivots into a testing phase.
Right, to solidify this brand new knowledge.
The source material features a mini quiz section, which is then followed by a summary checklist of useful phrases.
Testing immediately after exposure is a really well-documented method for moving information from short-term working memory into long-term retention.
Sure, but the nature of this specific quiz reveals a lot about their pedagogical philosophy. Let me walk you through these specific quiz questions because looking at them initially, I thought they were almost insultingly simplistic.
Oh, they're very silly.
Question 1 asks, to open an account, do you A, buy a sandwich, B, fill out a form, or C, ride a bicycle?
Buying a sandwich at the bank.
Right. And question 2 asks, is a signature A, your favorite color, B, your address, or C, your written name?
Your favorite color.
It's crazy. Question 3 asks what depositing money means. A, put money into your account, B, throw money away, or C, buy a pizza.
Who is throwing money away at the bank?
Exactly. And the final question is, who wanted to save money for Bones? Lily, Sonny, or the security guard?
The image of a bank security guard diligently saving up his paycheck for a pile of bones it's a brilliant distractor.
It's genuinely funny. But so what does this all mean? Why would an educator design a test with distractors that are so utterly absurd, like buying a pizza at the bank?
Or riding a bicycle to open an account.
Right. If the goal of a test is to gauge a student's comprehension, shouldn't the wrong answers be at least mildly challenging? It feels like rigging the game so the student can't possibly lose.
Well, that is precisely the point. At this specific stage of adult learning, a challenging quiz is actually counterproductive.
Really?
Yeah. This mini quiz is not an assessment tool designed to measure proficiency for a grade. It is a psychological mechanism designed to engineer a dopamine loop.
So the goal isn't to test them, it's to reward them.
Exactly. When a learner hears a question about banking and immediately recognizes that buying a sandwich is the wrong answer, they experience a microburst of achievement.
It makes the correct answer, filling out a form, feel glaringly obvious.
Which guarantees a feeling of success. The absurdity isn't just for laugh, it eliminates the possibility of the learner second-guessing themselves and feeling frustrated.
It artificially inflates their confidence right before they are handed the final checklist of real-world phrases.
Yes, because if a lesson ends with a complex trick question that trips the learner up, that feeling of failure is the last emotion they encode.
Oh, wow. And the next time they stand outside a real bank, that lingering frustration is what their brain will recall.
Exactly. But by giving them a quiz where the wrong answers are buying a pizza or throwing money away, they end the session feeling incredibly smart. They associate the vocabulary of banking with the feeling of winning.
It creates a positive reinforcement cycle. They feel capable, which lowers the effective filter for the next lesson, making them more receptive to even harder vocabulary.
It is sophisticated neurological conditioning wrapped up in a cartoonish romp.
It really is. It highlights how much intentionality goes into effectively teaching adults. And the source material wraps up this incredibly structured journey with just as much energy as it began.
It's a great conclusion.
Emmy and Kevin jump back in to congratulate the listener on a job well done. They do the standard sign-off, asking the audience to like the video, subscribe to Spry English, and hit the notification bell.
And then, completing the narrative loop beautifully, Emmy reminds us that Lily the kitten is still waiting patiently at home for her treat.
I love that they brought the kitten back.
Providing that narrative closure signals to the brain that the task is fully complete, allowing the mind to categorize and store the newly acquired information without leaving any open cognitive loops.
It is a profoundly satisfying way to package education, combining charming characters, clear situational mapping, invisible linguistic scaffolding, and immediate confidence-building dopamine hits.
You take a universally dreaded chore and you turn it into a manageable, even joyful sequence of events.
It demonstrates that the difficulty of learning a new skill is often dictated more by the delivery system than the subject matter itself.
Absolutely.
And as we unpack all of these brilliant mechanisms, the effective filter bypasses, the simple language translating complex jargon, the gamified test designed to make you feel like a winner, it leaves you with a much larger, somewhat more provocative thought to mull over.
Oh, what's that?
Well, when we try to learn something complex and new in our own lives, how much more successful might we be if we treated it like this lesson?
That's a great point.
Right. What if we stopped focusing on the overwhelming details and instead broke our goals down into a simple story where the objectives are as clear and straightforward as saving up for a vacation or, a pile of bones?
That's a huge mindset shift, and it actually extends far beyond the realm of beginner English lessons.
Exactly. Because if gamifying and simplifying these tasks works so perfectly for human psychology, if we know for a fact that clear steps, simple definitions, and low-stakes environments drastically improve a person's ability to navigate bureaucracy, why do native-speaking institutions operate the exact opposite way?
Oh, wow. That is a sobering thought.
It makes you wonder. Do the banks, the mortgage lenders, and the government agencies keep their forms aggressively complicated and their environments sterile by accident?
Or is the bureaucratic mountain kept intentionally steep and icy?
Exactly. Perhaps those linguistic barriers aren't a failure of communication at all, but a feature designed to keep the uninitiated out.
When clarity is proven to be this easy to engineer, opacity really does start to look like a deliberate choice.
It's definitely something to think about the next time you are handed a stack of paperwork that feels impossible to decipher. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking for the simpler translation, and we'll see you next time.
Great job, everyone! We hope this deep dive helped you understand the episode better. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep exploring English treasures with Spry English. See you next time. Bye.